There's an interesting thing too. I feel like people in our industry who it's kind of commonly known that people in this hospitality industry who carry cash are terrible with their money.
That is true.
Like kind of a notoriously across the board hospitality bartender.
Most hospitality, you're right.
We live like day to day, dollar to dollar, because we know we're going to go to work the next day and go make a bunch of cash. I've been thinking about it lately in that people we used to hate that, a benefit of being in this industry sometimes is cash.
Okay, here's what I think. I think you're right. I think a lot of bartenders and servers are kind of like almost like financially unintelligent. They see the cash. They almost like when you have cash, it makes you almost want to spend it.
Yes. Yeah, we live in a world of like instant gratification. We serve the drink, the dollar or two, or the tip comes across the bar, and we take home our cash and our money every night. But it breeds, and then we go out and we party.
Dude, how many servers or bartenders that you know who won't survive if they were not able to pick up their tips the next morning or the next day?
Yeah.
Like, do you know a lot of people who are like, I need my tips from last night because I need to pay rent. Like, they're living like almost in a cycle of 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they need... How many... Do you know people like that where they need... Or have you worked with people like they need to pick up the tips from the last night's shift so they can continue paying rent or something? I was like, man, like, you didn't... Like, what if nobody showed up? Like, what if it was a slow night? Like, you really, like...
I mean, I did it for a lot of my early 20s, for sure. When I was, especially when I was a server, I used to be a server on the wharf here in San Francisco, and I used to make just boatloads of cash. I'd work a lunch shift, make boatloads of cash, get off, go to the Gold Dust Lounge, rest in peace.
That's crazy that place closed down.
Yeah, and then I would blow it all, wake up the next morning, have enough money for, breakfast or burrito or something, and then like I was right back at work, confident that I would make the same the next day, and it's kind of a Groundhog's Day, and the repetitive cycle.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I never thought it is like that. We're kind of, especially if you work at the wharf, like from what I've heard from people who work, it's like the money's pretty good, even though it's a lot of tourists and stuff. But it's like if you're like almost expected to make like $400, you're almost like prepared to spend it. It's like a preemptive mindset that you're like, oh, I'm going to be good for I'm good for this month's rent, like the rent example, because I can make it in 4 days.
Exactly. So, kind of rounding out this point of servers, bartenders being kind of bad with money, going digital, getting paid, having things be on the books and getting lump sums of money, I feel leads to a more responsible handling and management of money.
Because here's one thing I learned from credit cards, is you can actually look at your history. What did I spend my money on? But when you're spending cash, who's keeping track of that?
Yeah, right here. And who knows how sharp this is.
Especially when you're drinking.
Yeah.
And then if you're living, when I go through my credit card, I'm like, why did I spend so much money on July? Like, I could look, oh, that's right, that's when my annual subscription, like my car registration or insurance, and you can see like, okay, but when you're spending cash, it's like you can't keep track of everything.
It's untraceable.
Yeah.
Which is why we like to take it. Like I mean, I'll still take cash any day because it's untraceable when I take it, but when I...
But it's also untraceable for yourself because you don't know what you spend it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're like, oh crap, what did I...
Exactly. As much as possible, I'd like to take the cash and, and not have to report it.
Yeah.
And deposit it and then spend it through debit or credit so that it's available to be tracked.
I used to do that too. I would get all my cash, but then I would deposit it because I would get rewards off my credit card. So for me, like especially with Amazon, or yeah.
So point being, the bartending industry, I've read in certain places we're considered the aristocrats of the working class. Bartenders make great money, kind of generally across the board. Here in San Francisco, I think
we probably make the most right next to New York.
Yeah, most people, the minimum wage being 17 something an hour. You're basically given a small salary as your minimum wage, plus the tips you make. I mean, the average bartender in the San Francisco arena probably makes $65,000 to $90,000 a year, which is healthy. Those are healthy wages. But
that's more than what I made back in my biotech days, which is like crazy.
Totally. Like people who make less money but get paid bi-weekly, I feel like there's just a better management of things.
I think most of my biotech friends have houses now. Even though I make more money than them,
and they're making like $50,000 a year or something like that.
They make 50 to 80, depending on but it's crazy that they're just way more financially. They're just responsible because when you get a paycheck, it's like, okay, this is exactly how much, down to the cent. Like you can see exactly how much you make.
Yeah.
But as the service industry, we do have a paycheck, but most of that is just, pour me one.
And this is not to speak for everyone, but the bartending world and the kind of the habit of nightlife and the party life, definitely breeds irresponsibility in a financial sense when taken too far. And too much of anything is bad, but I guess there's a way to do it right. Yeah. There's a way to do it right. It's not speak for everyone, because I'm sure there are people who are in this industry who are making good money, who know how to save, who know how to invest,